So, first of all, thank you everyone for joining the session. It, it was nice, to know where are you from and what all experiences you are having. Perfect. So I'll be going with this particular webinar for the topic, which is CEH Unleashed. Okay. Starting from myself, this is Sanyam Negi, and I'm a trainer at InfosecTrain, and I'll be your presenter for these 2 days of this webinar, which is for CEH Unleashed. Just to let you know, cybersecurity, if we talk about, like, to be very honest, it's like an ocean. I used to say this. It's like an ocean. The more you deep dive in, the more you can explore it. So it's quite that big, right? It's quite that big, right? So we'll be talking about a part of it, which is CH Unleashed. Okay. So I'll give you some pretty much good information in terms of what CH is, what these lifestyles are. We'll talk about it. Okay. So various things are there in terms of cybersecurity. So I have achieved my own couple of them. Okay. So CH is part of it. Others are the like security plus, as you guys have mentioned, from defensive side. ECH is there, CTI is there, SOC is there, for like CSA is there, right? So yeah, couple of them more are there, but these are quite in terms of, you can say, technical based. Okay, just a quick things before we go ahead and talk about in terms of CH Unleashed. Okay, about InfosecTrain, as we are part of it. Uh, it was established in 2016, and we are one of the finest security and technology training and consulting company. We do have a wide range of professional training programs, certifications, and consulting services in the IAT and cybersecurity domain. We do provide a high quality technical services, certification, or customized training programs curated with professionals of over 15 years of combined experience in the domains. Right? And our endorsement, 4+ years of services, 70 plus pool of trainers, 150 plus courses offering, 10 plus valued partners, 100% corporate delivery, and 15,000 plus professional. So see guys, CH, actually, if we talk about, it stands for Certified Ethical Hacker. Okay. And this actually a courseware provided by your EC Council. It's a courseware provided by the EC Council. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So for ethical hacking, we'll talk about, just I'm talking about specifically for certified ethical hacker as of now, this particular course. Okay. So this is provided by EC Council. Okay. And it's regarding, you can say, how you can, it's like a stepping stone, I would say. Okay. And here you learn about multiple domains, not just in terms of, you can say, application based or limitizing your scope. It's quite give you an idea of pretty much different domains. 20 domains are there, like cloud, IoT, cryptography, application based attacks, vulnerability assessment, right? And social engineering, quite a few more, right? So various domains are covered, which helps you to learn and grow, and you can say, will be helping you to be an analyst, you can say. So regarding CH exam information, if you talk about, number of questions are 125, duration is of 4 hours, and the format is multiple choice questions over there. Okay, and the passing score varies from 60% to 85%. Okay. So generally they have two based CH exam, just to let you know. One is totally practical and one is like totally theoretical based. All right. And if you receive, or if you are able to clear both the certifications, like which is CH practical and CH this one, you'll be termed as a CH master. These are two different certificates. Okay. So this one which you are talking about as of now, this is quite theoretical based. Not just, okay, exam is theoretical based. It's not like the content is entirely theoretical. Okay, we tend to provide, if you talk about in terms of InfosecTrain, we tend to provide a lot of practicals in terms of this particular course as well, right? So different valuable machines are solved over there. We learn different techniques and methodologies, and how things could be done, or how things looks like in attacker's perspective, right? So those concepts are cleared in this particular part, which we as an infosec train tends to give, so that every people can, every person could have an idea in terms of not only just in base of books and all that in order to clear the certification, but as well which you can utilize in your professional life and in your career growth as well. 62% to 85%, actually it fluctuates between them, depends on what kind of exam set they have given. Okay, so if it's quite hard, then it can go a bit low, right? So 60% to 85% will always be like a variation over there in terms of clearing the exam. So that's your passing score, depending on what kind of exam set has been there in terms of for examination. Okay, so examination is quite theoretical, no practical is required in that part, but yeah, it will be MCQ and 4 hours, 125 questions over there. Now if I talk about ethical CH, which is certificate ethical hacking, Ritik, very good point, there is no negative point, negative marks. Now we are talking about CH, right? And moreover, in terms of CH, we are talking about in terms of ethical hacking. Ethical hacking, just to let you know, it's just like hacking, but for a good purpose. The intentions over here, which differentiate it from others, it's quite good one. It's quite different. Like it is for like they go by the rules and books. They do not do hacking for a malicious purpose or to take an advantage of. See, hacking, guys, is not a negative term. Just to let you know, it's the intentions of the person who is doing a hacking which makes it negative or positive. Okay, always remember that hacking is never a negative word. It all depends on the intentions of it, the hacker over there. Okay, so yes, ethical hacker, they do it in order to protect the organization itself, right? So it's like, okay, they are hacker, methodologies will be same. Okay, aiming also would be same, but it's like they won't take an advantage of that. They won't take any malicious step or do any kind of a or give any kind of a negative impact to the organization over there. Okay, so that's what makes them different. Okay, they are also highly skilled one, you can say professionals or highly skilled hackers, but those who are there in order to make your organization more and more secure. So it's like, as we've been also mentioned, finding the loopholes, as you guys have mentioned, finding the vulnerabilities out there, right? So they tend to do the same. If you talk about ethical hackers, pen testers, penetration testers, everything is same. Or white hat hackers also, right? So what do? They try to find a vulnerability. A vulnerability is what? A vulnerability is kind of a weakness or a flaw. Okay, a weakness of a or a flaw. For example, if you guys set up a password in your account, be it Facebook account, be it your laptop account, anywhere, and your password is, let's suppose, 0000, 4 times 0. So don't you think it's kind of a very weak password which attacker will be easily able to guess it or crack it? Correct? That's again a weakness, a vulnerability which attacker looks out for. Correct? So as an ethical hacker, similarly, okay, we look out for a flaw of weaknesses into the system, in the network, in order to take an advantage of, and then we create a report out of it so that organization can fix it up, right? So that's what your ethical hackers do. Okay, that what is your ethical hacking knows, or we look out for a vulnerability, we look out for a these kind of a loopholes, we exploit them. Okay, we show that how attackers can take an advantage of that, but we won't do any kind of a damage to the organization. Like for example, if it's your organization, let's suppose it's an organization of Alok, right? So it's not like that I will be while doing a ethical hacking, I'll find a vulnerability, exploit it, then I will sell all the data out. It's not like that. Correct. So that is not a good thing. Like, that is not what these ethical hackers do basically. Okay, so they find a vulnerability, they exploit it, so that they can tell you how to fix it up, or what all things you need to fix in your organization, right? So that's what they do, your ethical hackers. Okay, yes, Julie, that is quite amazing if you have 54 character password, right? So like if I ask you guys in terms of, since I gave you an example of a password based thing, right, in order to authenticate, what do you guys suggest? Like how much of a length and like should be there in terms of your password? How much big of a password would be sufficient enough in order to provide you the security? So yes, see, not just length, okay, it does not depend totally on the length basis, I would suggest you as well, right? Yes, Nathan, yes, many of you have suggested the same, correct. So it should be mixed, right? You can say lowercase, uppercase, numbers and symbols as well. It should be a combination of both. And I will also suggest that it should be of at least 10. I won't say 8 because we are living in 20, 21st, like it's 2022 now, right? So things have evolved a lot. Okay. So 8 also, I would not suggest you to go with 8. I would suggest to go with at least 10 because it is said like if your password is complex, in 10 I'm talking if it's complex, like containing your upper letters, lower letters, uh, symbols as well as your numbers, it makes a huge complexity over there, and it is said like it takes about quite a lot of months for an attacker to crack that password. Okay, so at least 10 will be the length of a password, and it should be a bit complex in terms of making that. And do not it should not contain any kind of a dictionary word over there, like people tend to keep password as in password at the rate 123. No, no, that is not a good thing. Rule it out. Okay, that is absolutely not safe. Got it? So for password, at least make it 10 and make it complex, and do not keep it as a dictionary based words. That is quite risky and easy to crack. Okay. Now, in terms of ethical hacking, we were talking about in terms of pen testers, right? They are considered as a pen tester as well, or penetration testers. So I told you, okay, someone asked me, is it a red team activity? I would say offensive activity, but red team has a slight difference between a pen tester and a red teamer, I would say, in an organization. There's a slight difference between them. Like it's kind of more than slight though. Okay. Now, in terms of pen tester, when we are talking about, as I told you, pen testers are quite knowledgeable one. They know what they are doing. They know about the tools. They have quite a good amount of experience, right? So when we talk about in terms of pen testing, they have some testing strategies, right? There are some testing strategies which are like this: black box testing, white box, and gray box. Black box, I would say here at this point of time, whenever a pen tester is doing a black box testing, it's like they are considered as a hacker only. Okay, it is like these kind of a strategies that depends whenever you are going for a pen testing. Just to let you know, like you have a deal with the organization over there, like rules of engagement will be there. On that perspective, it will be decided whether it will be black box, white box, or gray box, right? So black box would be the one where these ethical hackers are compared with the outside or external hackers, right? Those who do an attack in order to take an advantage of. So it's like no information is shared with these ethical hackers or your pen testers. Okay, no information is shared with these ethical hackers, so they have to find their own way out, just like a hacker do, that malicious hacker will do, isn't it? So do you share any information with the malicious hacker? No, correct. So here also in black box, no information is shared. So it's like, let's suppose okay, Suprita is a pen tester. So I will say, Suprita, do the pen testing of, or do the ethical hacking of InfosecTrain. That's it, just a name, nothing apart from that. Then Suprita will be going with the different ways in order to find the information and to crack it up. Got it? So black box would be the one where you're not sharing any kind of a information. Here you can say like they might go with the social engineering attack based as well in order to gain some confidential information. Got it? That's a black box. It means in short, no information are shared. Gray box. Gray box is like where some part of information is shared. Okay. Gray box is like where some sort of information are shared with the pen tester, or you can say ethical hacker, right? So it's like, okay, taking the previous example, I will be telling you, Sangeeta, to do what, test InfosecTrain, and I'll be sharing some username and password, and you can say I'll be telling them, okay, this is built on this particular language and on this server, like that, right? So that will be a gray box testing. Some sort of information are shared over there so that a bit in depth can be done. Whereas if I talk about your white box, so white box would be when you are sharing the entire information over there. Like I am sharing the entire source code so that it can be a totally in-depth analysis and finding out the vulnerabilities up to the core, right? So sharing the entire source code will be part of your white box. So see how the depending on the information which you're sharing defines your testing strategies, whether it is black box, gray box, or white box. Align, no, the type of hackers which you're trying to say over here, that is black hat, white hat, and gray hat, right? Black hat hackers, if you're talking about, they are the ones which are malicious hackers. Okay, their intention is malicious, to destroy or to do some damage. White hat hackers are your ethical hackers or your penetration testers, whereas gray hat hackers are the ones, those who are a blend of both black hat as well as your white hat. Okay, they have the blend of both white hat and black hat. So you can say, like, for example, if I being a gray hat hacker, if I found a vulnerability in InfosecTrain, I'll be reporting to InfosecTrain. Someone from there will be, will be dealing with me. And okay, I said, okay, for this vulnerability, I need a reward, which is fair and square. If someone from the InfosecTrain said that, okay, we are not gonna give you any, reward for this, just, get lost kind of a thing. So I will be doing what? I'll be selling out that vulnerability, or like either I can go with that, or I will go to the dark web and I will make it public, or I will just make that vulnerability public so that anyone can, take an advantage of that vulnerability and make some impact on InfosecTrain. So now here it will be considered as a gray hat hacker, because what just happened? Earlier he was having a very good intention, right? He simply wanted to report to InfosecTrain that there is a vulnerability, kindly fix it up, and I need a reward. But he eventually turned out to be the malicious one, because now he is selling out or making that vulnerability public. Make sense? That's the difference between a hackers and testing strategies. And eventually, like, see why I'm doing these kind of a thing, or why a ethical hacker is going out for these things, because we have to secure our environment, right? We have to secure our environment before any malicious hacker takes an advantage of that. Correct? So why do we do these things? Because we have to maintain our confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So these are what? These are the strong pillars of your cyber security. Okay, and like every organization, whatever they create, right, they try to maintain these things over there. So they play a quite important role. So they are pillars of your security, you can say. So when I'm talking about CIA, often known as a CIA triad, okay, so this stands for confidentiality as in C, integrity as in I, availability as in A. Okay, so that's your CIA. Confidentiality means what? When we talk about confidentiality, as you guys have mentioned, kind of restrictions, like in short, no, like, unauthorized access. In short, only the authorized person will be able to see that data for whom, like, it was meant to be. Like, for example, if I'm sending, like, A is there and B is there. If A is sending any data to B, only B would be able to access that data. Nobody else, like be it C, be it D, anyone in between should be, like, they won't be able to access that data. Okay, because they are not authorized. A send that data to B, so B is the authorized one, and only he would be able to access that data. These people won't be able to, because they are unauthorized. Okay, so that's what your confidentiality talks about, that the only the authorized person should be able to access the data. No unauthorized person should be able to, read that or access that data, right? So It can be maintained in various ways, you can say. Like, access control list is there, ACL, where we limitize your access. Okay, who should have access to which files and folders, that is part of it. As well as I will also put encryption over here, which is part of your cryptography concept. Encryption is like keys are involved over there. Okay, keys are involved over there. So if you have the key, like, I will do the encryption. Okay, a key will be involved. And let's suppose if I'm sending hello, okay, with the encryption, just very basic example, it will be converted to like this. Let's suppose like this. Now once it is received by the receiver, which is your B, so B will be having one more key. B will be having the a key as well. So we will be using that key in order to decrypt it and make it hello back. Okay, so now C and D won't be able to do it because they do not have that key, right? So that's why encryption can also be utilized. It's like using a key in order to keep it secure, and only the person who is having that key would be able to decrypt, and he would be able to read the data. Got it? For the confidentiality. Then integrity. What do you mean by integrity? See guys, where we have these confidentiality, integrity, and availability kind of a thing, like, this is regarding your data only, right? Eventually everything is data, correct? If a data is secure, everything is safe, right? So data has three forms. Since Alok mentioned that, that is a good point. Data is in your three formats: data at rest, data in transit or motion, and data in use. Data at rest, when your data is resting, just like the word says itself, like saved somewhere, stored somewhere, like in a hard disk, in your database, it's stored, right? It is resting. So at that time also your data needs to have these things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability over there, right? Data in transit, like if I'm sending a data to you, sending any message, mail, that is your data is in transit at that time. It's moving in the network, it's traveling in the network. So at that time also data needs protection. So confidential, integrity, and availability of a data should be maintained at that time. Data in use, while you are using the data, for example, if you are editing a file, right, you start using it, so data is in use over there. Refreshing or playing around with the database, making some changes, data in use over there. So that's your three formats of your data. Always remember that. Okay, three forms of your data: data at rest, data in transit, and data in use. So I have to maintain the confidential integrity specifically for your data at these kind of scenarios. Integrity means accuracy, I would say, right? It means like, data should not be modified, no tampering should be there, right? You might have heard about this word tampering in cricket also. Heard about it? Like, uh, players get fines for tampering the ball. Ever heard about it? Right? Ball tampering, exactly. Isn't it? So similarly over here, like ball tampering does what? It makes that ball either swing much, right? They might be doing some attaching or some you can say materials over there, or tearing ball that over there, so that spin will be less, or it will be increased whatsoever. So it's like integrity of it, is not there now, isn't it? So similarly, if you're tampering your data, data does not remain same over here now. You have changed it. So similarly, as your ball tampering is your data tampering, you can say, right? So integrity makes sure that if I am sending hello to someone, so it will be received as hello only. It should not be changed. Got it? It should not be bye, it should not be hi, not even hello, how are you, anything like that. It should be as it is, and like as it was sent. Got it? So that's your integrity. You're maintaining the integrity of your data. So any tampering, any modification between, your integrity got lost over there, right? So these things can be attained by your, you can say, hashing. Check some concepts are there. Hashing, for those who don't know about hashing, is what? Hashing is something which is irreversible. It's like a one-way street. It's like a one-way street. So you might have heard about MD5, SHA, right? These are some algorithms. So what happens? Let's suppose if my data is hello. So it will be converted into something like this. And now, as per the property of a hashing, see, for encryption we have decryption, encoding we do have decoding, but there is no word like a dehash, unhash, these kind of a thing for a hashing thing. It's a one-way street. It can be made only. You cannot go back to the and find what was the real input in order to get this hash. There's no kind of a such thing. Okay, it's a one-way street. It will be just going from hello to this. That's it. No going back. That's how it is. Maintaining integrity. Okay. So now what happened? Uh, Hashing is there and availability now. Availability, if you talk about availability, is what, like all your data and your services should be available for its genuine users. Correct? Like if you go to buy something in a shop, right? If shopkeeper is not there, or like even if I say that item is not there, so that's kind of a availability issue, right? Doesn't it? So it's like if you are trying to buy something like a, I would say, PS5, PlayStation 5, for example, and there's a gaming store nearby you. You went there, or you went there in the gaming store. You ask for PS5 or any PlayStation material over there. If they say we do not have it, okay, and they're not gonna bring it for a couple of months as of now. So that's an availability issue. They do not have the desired product. So next time, if I have to buy something, do you really think I'll be going to the same gaming store? I'll be trying something new where I would have, where I found this PS5. Similarly, like, at next time also I'll be going for the same store. Agree? Isn't it? You're trying to buy a cloth in a mall, in a showroom. There is no assistant, like, someone is not assisting you over there. So availability issue. Their service is not available to you. So you won't go over there now. Correct. So similarly, this kind of a thing affects organization, or you can say company as well. So I being, let's suppose if I am an owner of a Amazon, right? And products are not available, my page is not getting loaded. So why would you come back to Amazon again and again, right? Because availability issue is there. So client does not get happy. He's not happy with that uh, services, right? So if my Amazon is not working, my items are not there in order to sell it out, and my pages are not getting loaded. So that's an availability issue. Got it? So these three are quite important thing which every, you can say, ethical hacker is trying to maintain in the organization, and organization is trying to keep it up to the scale. Because whenever some malicious hacks happen which impact the organization, they are impacting our confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay. See, every organization, I would say, like, all of these three are equally important. Just to let you know, all of these three are equally important, but still, organization to organization, it tends to shuffle. Like, depending on their uh, requirement, the priorities shuffle. Okay. For example, if I ask you guys, quite a small activity, if you have an ISP as an internet service provider, for your ISP, what will be of more priority out of these three? It can be one, it can be more than one, it can be all three also. Availability will be the priority over here, because main concern is what? To provide the internet service. Everyone should have the internet. If internet is not available, now if I ask about uh, online gaming, yes, I can see many gave you the correct answer. Like, see, I'm not saying all three are not required. All three definitely are required, but in case of a priority based, since it is an online, so I guess availability is a common answer for everyone, right? Since it is online, if availability is not there, why would be it online on the very first place? And I will get integrity over here. Integrity means what? Things to be remain accurate over there, right? Isn't it? So let's suppose you all play Candy Crush kind of a game, right? So if you reach to certain level, let's suppose 1000 level, if integrity is not there, anyone can easily bring you back to the level one. He can change or tamper the codes. Correct? if you are playing any game, you buy a lot of things over there, right? What if someone change entire thing, bring it back to the zero? Like he will, release all the things which you have purchased. If you're playing a game like PUBG or any shooting game, right? Now in that game, if you shoot, a bullet, what if someone changed the entire code over there? Now your bullet is just hitting a tree or something. Yeah, Julie, exactly, playing online poker or something. So that's why I give integrity a bit more edge as compared to your confidentiality. Okay. Now, quite a debatable one. Banking. What if I say confidentiality and integrity? I am not saying to exclude availability, but in terms of priority, if I have to talk about, I'll be giving them a more priority, just more than your availability, just more, a cutting edge. Okay, exact, Padmapriya, right? My reason is, see, the reason is, if you use any net banking application or if you're using any application which is sponsored by the government, right? Correct. Even if you go for the government bank over here in India, they'll say what? Like even if their lunch break is from 1 p.m. And you went over there at 12:50, they will say, "Come later. We are busy right now. It's lunch time." Right? Availability issue, isn't it? So here, that's why I kept it for the less priority, a bit more less. Okay, because even if I need to do a transaction, I need some cash, or I need to some send some money. Maybe my one bank might not be working. I can go with the another bank, right? Secondly, I can handle that situation. I might lend some money. I will borrow some money from my friend or my family member, and as soon as the services gets back, I'll pay them, right? So that thing can be tackled. You can say for a if it's 30-minute availability is not there, I'm pretty much fine with that. I can absolutely handle that scenario. But what my point is, if for 30 minutes confidentiality and integrity is not there, don't you think that will poses a lot of risk to your organization, or like be it your bank, if confidentiality and integrity is not there for 30 minutes, isn't it? Because attacker unauthorized access can be there and they can do any transaction which they want to, isn't it? So instead of having a bankruptcy, I will prefer to not to have that service. Correct. So that's how your confidentiality integrity are put a bit more or given a bit more edge than your availability in terms of banking. Clear, everyone? All right. Okay. Next topic we are gonna go with your in terms of threat actors, or you can say uh, in terms of cyber security, what all threat actors are there. So as I mentioned, next will be in terms of cyber threat actors. Since we are talking about ethical hacking, right? You should know what kind of other hackers are also, you know, around here. So we have nation states, we have cyber criminals, we have hacktivists, we have terrorist groups, and we have thrill seekers, we have insider threats as well. Okay. Now, if we talk about nation states are the ones which are, you can say, supported by the government. Okay, and these are, you can say, highly skilled, and the ones those who are quite you know pretty good, I would say, tools in order to perform some attacks, right? So the ones which are sponsored by the, you can say, the government, and that will be known as a nation state that work for the organization, or you can say for the government. Cyber criminals are the ones those who look out for the profit out of their attacks. Okay, and you can say group of attackers as well, or those who try to exploit or to do some attacks in order to get some, we can say, monetary gain or to attain some kind of a profit out of it. Hacktivist is quite a, you can say, a popular term nowadays. So hacktivist, if I have to break it down, it's like hacker plus activist. A hacker who has some political agenda or an ideology which he wants to spread out will be termed as a hacktivist. For example, you guys might have heard about this. A very big movement was there in US, which was with the name Black Lives Matter. So in that part, there was a group which was with the name Anonymous. Anonymous group is there, right? So he was, or you can say that group, I would say that group was a part of that entire, big movement as well. And they tried to, uh, bring out some more footage, or you can say other cases over there. And, they were part of this big movement. So they have this, you can say, ideology and this agenda in order to, give this movement a big step and a big reach. So they helped in that particular scenario as well, right? So Anonymous is the name of that group, which are termed as a hacktivist. Terrorist, I would say those who are there in terms of doing some violence and looking out for some damage to the human life as well. I would put them as a terrorist groups. Okay, right. So there will be a terrorist group, and thrill seekers are the ones those who are looking for some kind of a satisfaction out of it. They do not have any monetary gain or purpose or like that. They want some thrill. They look out for some challenges over there, and they just do that hack or that attack in just that purpose, that so that they can get some challenge, right? A tough challenge kind of a thing. So these kind of will be defined as your thrill seekers. Insider threats are the ones, as you can say, discontent. I would say insider threats are the ones which are having some privileges or permissions within the organization. Okay, so they are like a disgruntled employee who is not happy with the organization, or who's not happy with the manager, or with the organization not promoting him or her, or just like that, these kind of a thing. So they are not happy with the organization, and they just want to take a you know revenge kind of a thing from the organization. They'll be termed as an insider threat. Insider threat, just to let you know, it's not like they'll be doing it deliberately. It can be accidental also. So for example, you are handling a server, for example, okay, and by mistakenly if you revealed some data out, or deleted a server or something like that, by mistake, that will be termed as your accidental part of it. Okay, but generally we do have also your insider threats, and that is the reason also we have some social engineering awareness program in the organization, because there is a part which is with the name dumpster diving. What happens, for those who do not know about it, dumpster diving is something like, okay, you order something from Amazon, right? Whenever you buy something from Amazon, when it is delivered at your house, at your doorstep, you find there's a wrapper. In that wrapper, your billing is attached to it, where your address and every lot of information are mentioned. So how many of you guys destroy your wrapper into small pieces and then throw in a trash can? Many of us might not do that, okay, which is not a good practice, because our information are shared over there. So similarly, in the organization, what happens whenever there's a project, okay, whenever the big things are there, so you use documents for those things, right? For those purposes, we use documents. That's pretty much obvious. So once those documents are no more required, what do we do with those documents? We use shredding machines in our office, okay, those and then we shred them into small pieces, and then throw into trash can. Not just like which you see in movies or TV series, that you know you're making a ball out of that paper and then throwing into trash can. No, because we do have some insider threats, those who can go through those trash cans and get a lot of information out of it. You might have heard about, in your organization there is a policy which is with the name clean desk policy. So clean desk policy says the same, isn't it? That whenever you are, uh, you know, like in your table, there should not be any kind of a spare documents or papers left over there. If you're leaving your office, make sure to lock them in a cabin or locker, something like that, and it should be clean, because yet again, insider threats are there which can take an advantage out of it. They can steal your documents out of it, and either they can take some pictures and then they can utilize it later. So when we are talking about in terms of cyber threat actors or nation states, or most sophisticated ones, here we have the APTs. APTs stands for your Advanced Persistent Threat. APT stands for your Advanced Persistent Threat. So APT, when we are talking about APT, they are, you can say, defined as a type of network attack. Okay, advanced persistent threats, they are defined as a type of network attack where your attacker or group of attackers, they gain unauthorized access to a target network and remains there undetected for a long period of time. That's what makes them persistent. Okay, see, three words are there: advanced, persistent, and threat. Okay, advanced tells you the use of techniques to exploit the underlying vulnerabilities in the system, right? Persistence, you can say, it tells you that command and control system is there, okay, which continuously extracts the data and monitors the victim's network and try to remain there for a longer period of time, right? And threat, it signifies, you can say, the human involvement over there in coordinating. Okay, so APT attacks, they are highly sophisticated attacks where an attacker uses the well crafted malicious codes, okay, along with the combination of zero day exploits in order to gain access to the target's network. Okay, so they are very well planned and very well coordinated over there. So, very well coordinated techniques are used, and they clean up their evidences, of all the malicious activities which they have performed once their objective is fulfilled. Okay, so you can see the main objective behind their attack is to obtain sensitive information rather than rather than sabotaging the organization and their network. Their main objective is to obtain the sensitive information out of it. So they look out for the juicy information, you can say, some classified documents, user credentials, network information, employees or customers personal information, transaction information, credit card information, etc., etc. These kind of information they are looking out for whenever they are performing an APT attack. Okay, now if I talk about in terms of APT life cycle. Okay, APT life cycle, it involves certain stages, you can say. We can say define target, find and organize the accomplices, build or acquire tools, research target infrastructure employees, or you can say research employees, test for detection, deployment, initial intrusion, outbound connection, expand access and obtain credentials, strengthen foothold, exfiltrate data and cover the tracks and remain undetected. Okay, so generally, like, if you talk about define target, research the target, uh, organizing the team, building the tools, okay, testing for detection, till this point, from here to your here, till this point, they are known as preparation phase. Okay, a preparation phase. Clear? See, so in order to attack, these APT attackers, they follow a certain set of phases to, target, to penetrate, and to exploit the organization's network. Okay, so very first one is your preparation. Okay, preparation it is, which is followed by your initial inclusion whenever we talk about in terms of deployment and initial inclusion part. Okay, let me write it. These two, uh, initial intrusion, outbound connection, you can say, and expanding the access. Expansion followed by, you can say, strengthen foothold and, maintaining their access over there, part of your persistence. And you can say search and exfiltration. And the last one, cover the tracks, would be part of your this cleanup. So you can also divide them into these 6 phases. Okay, starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and your 6, which is clean up over here. Okay, so as I mentioned, preparation, what do we do? Like, that is the first phase of your APT life cycle, which is preparation, where your these adversaries, okay, these malicious, or you can say, or these, I would say, actors, threat actors, they define the target, okay, they perform some extensive research on the target, and they'll be setting up a team, organizing a team over there, building or attaining the tools, and perform for some test for detection. Test for detection, I mean to say, what I meant to say is that, because see, if I am from APT side, and if you are having an organization in order to secure it, okay, so obviously you will be having some security measures installed in your organization, correct? Like a firewall, antivirus, IDS, IPS, these kind of a thing will be installed in your end, right? Antivirus, firewall, kind of a thing in terms of security measure. So being from the side of a APT, whatever I'm gonna create, no, whatever the tools I'm gonna create, I'll be performing a test in terms of detection. So if I made a malware, if I'm using any tool, I'll make sure that they won't get detected on the other side, correct? So I'll be, you know, doing extensive research. I'll be looking out for, okay, what all kind of things are being used in your organization, and then I'll be performing some tests for detection so that I won't get caught when I will be executing my entire attack over there. Make sense, right? So whenever your APT attacks are being done, they require a high level of preparation, because they cannot take a risk, or they cannot take a chance of getting detected by the target's network security, where they define the target, they do some extensive research on them, you can say, research the target, organize the team, build or attain the tools, and test for detection. That's part of your preparation. Then it is followed by initial intrusion. Okay, so next phase, which involves attempting to enter into the target network. Okay, so you can say phishing email, you might have heard about it, right? Spear phishing, phishing emails, correct? So they are the common, or you can say common technique, which are used by these you know APTs in order to get the initial intrusion. Okay, they use spear phishing emails, or they exploit the vulnerabilities which are publicly available on the servers. Okay, so in that phishing email, they'll be sending some legitimate looking attachments which will be containing some executable malwares or some malicious links attached to it. Okay, and as soon as the person clicks on the malicious link, they'll be redirected to the website where target's web browser and software are compromised by the attacker using various exploiting techniques. Okay, so sometimes they might use with social engineering attack base, they might use social engineering techniques as well, others, in order to gather information from the victim. Okay, here, so you can see in this phase, your malicious codes or the malwares, they are deployed into the target system in order to initiate an outbound connection. In order to initiate an outbound connection, so that they can thread a connection and perform their objectives. So although it can scan for everything, but still it has its own limitation, right? What are all the things which are set up by the developers over there? It will be going till that point, particular point, right? So I won't say for everyone you will be getting result, but yeah, generally it does tends to give you. So you cannot rely on one single thing. You have to go with multiple things. Correct? Okay. Then we have expansion. Expansion phase, we can say, as I mentioned, like here the primary objective will be like expansion of the access to the target network and obtain the credentials. So if attacker is aiming to exploit and gain access to a single system, then there is no need for expansion, right? But obviously in most of the cases we are looking out for various information. It's a high level based attack, right? So objective of attackers over here is to access multiple system using single compromise system. So it's like spreading it, expanding it from one system to another, to another, to another, right? So once the initial compromise is done, they'll try to expand the access to the target systems. Okay, so you can say the main objective over here for the attacker would be to gain or to obtain the administrative login credentials in order to escalate the privileges and to gain further access to the system in the network. Okay, and in case you can say attackers, if they are unable to obtain valid credentials, you know then what they can do, they can use other techniques such as social engineering, exploiting vulnerabilities, and these kind of a thing in order to go over there or reach till this point. Okay, now after you can say getting the target's account credentials, movement of an attacker in the network is difficult to trace. Okay, because they are using now legitimate username and password. It could be quite now this phase, we can say this expansion phase, it will be supporting other phases of the APT life cycle. Okay, so in you can say search and exfiltration, this will be helping you. Attackers, they can obtain the targeted data by gaining access to the system, right? So they'll be creating a outbound channel and exfiltrating the data out of it, right? So this phase, expansion phase, can be helpful and assisting to your further phases. Then we move to a persistent. So this phase, it will be involving maintaining the access to the target system. Okay, so they evade, bypass your endpoint security devices like your firewall, intrusion detection system, entered into the network, they established access to the system, right? Now they try to maintain the access to the target system. So these attacker will be using certain techniques or procedures. Okay, like they'll be using, you can say, customized malware, obviously, like kind of a zero-day base attack as well, right? And they'll be using some pretty good tools. So these tools, they are designed in such a way that they cannot be detected by the antivirus or the security tools of the target, right? So they maintain and they try to maintain their persistency over there. Okay, they'll be using customized malwares, right? And that will be including the services, some executables and drivers installed to the various system in the target network. Okay, and like they'll try to put these things on multiple locations so that even if one got caught, they still have other means in order to maintain their access or to maintain their persistence in that particular network. Got it? And they try to hide themselves or use or install these malwares in such a place which are not examined frequently. Yep. Now it brings us to search and exfiltration. So in this phase, you can see the attackers are gonna do what they are trying to achieve their ultimate goal of the network exploitation. Okay, so they try to gain access, you can say, to the resources that can be used for performing further attacks. Okay, or using that resources for some kind of a financial gain. Okay, so they try to, you can say, steal this in search and exfiltration, they try to steal all the data, including your important documents, emails, share drives, or any other type of data present on the target network. Okay, so these things are done in your search and exfiltration. They will try to exfiltrate the data, leak out the data, you can say, right? Then final step is a cleanup. Cleanup simply means what? This is the last phase, right? Where your attackers, they perform certain steps in order to prevent the detection, and then they try to remove the evidence of compromise, right? It's like covering the tracks. Because for example, if I say, if someone asks you to lend your phone to make a call, once that call is done, don't you check the call logs in order to see to to whom that person called, isn't it? So, since everything is getting recorded, like these logs are being created, so attackers also over here, they try to clean their records, right? So that they won't get traced back, because no attacker likes to get traced back, right? They do not want someone to get back to them. So in this phase, they do what? They try to prevent the detection and remove the evidence of compromise. So they cover the tracks, which includes evading the detection, okay, eliminating any evidence of the intrusion, and hiding the you know uh, attacker details from that target. Okay, clear? So in some cases, covering the tracks is also referred, like when we are talking about in terms of cleanup, covering track, it also covering tracks also include like manipulating the data in the target environment in order to mislead the security analyst, so their entire attention will be to somewhere else. where attackers are not sitting, right? Or where those malwares are not there. So they try to fool them around as well. Okay, clear? So they try to cover the tracks and remain undetected by the security analyst for a longer period of time. So these are the life cycles of your APT. If I have to start, these are some important ones. You can add more in terms of characteristics of APT if you want to. Like if I have to go with it, I would say like, first they define the objectives. By objectives, what I say, like, they try to obtain the sensitive information or they try to fulfill their strategic goals in this part. Okay. So the main objective behind any APT attack is to obtain some sensitive information by gaining access to the organization network for criminal, you can say, earnings. Okay. Or other goals would be like, other objective would be like to just spy, or we can say, you know, get some political data over there, right? Or strategic goals. These can be also their objectives. So depend from, group to group and what their objective is, right? Now, second is timeliness. Timeliness would be like in the time which is taken by the attacker in terms of, doing the attack, like from the point where they assess their target system for vulnerabilities till to the point they exploit them in order to gain and maintain their access to the target system. Okay. So from the point of assessing the target system till the point exploiting it in order to gain and maintain the access. Okay, that will be timeliness. Resources. Resources defined as the amount of, I would say, knowledge, tools, and the techniques which are required to carry out an attack. Okay. So as I told you, APT attacks, they are very well sophisticated attacks and they are performed by a highly skilled cyber criminals, or you can say nation state actors, and they consume more resources. Risk tolerance is simply like how much risk you are willing to take. Okay. So their risk tolerance is quite high because since they are doing a very great, a big attack, I would say. So their risk tolerance is quite high because they know if they get caught, that can be costing them a lot, and they try to remain undetected for the into the network for a longer period of time, right? So risk is quite high, and they can tolerate that. They can handle that much amount of risk. So one of the characteristics of your uh, APT. Risk tolerance is it's just simple example would be if you're driving a car at, you can say, you know uh, 80 kilometers per hour, for example. So your car would be able to handle that, is fine, that it's a user speed. But if you're trying to run it at 130 or 140 kilometers per hour, you find, or you see that your car starts shaking, right? Doesn't it? It starts shaking, but still it's moving, right? So it will be like risk tolerant, that till this point your car can move and it will be able to take you to the destination. But if you exceed it, maybe your car will be into multiple pieces, isn't it? So that's your, that 140 will be your risk tolerance, you can say. Okay. So the methods and the tools which are used by the attackers to perform certain attacks will be your skills and methods. Okay. Because they use various things like, social engineering techniques to gather information about the target, techniques to prevent detection by the security mechanism, and techniques to maintain access into the target system for a longer period of time will be part of your skills and methods. Then actions is there. Actions will be like, they perform certain number of actions in order to uh, make them different from other type of cyber attacks, right? So their main objective is to what, to maintain their presence in the victim's network for a longer period of time and extract as much data as possible. That's their actions, right? Which differs them or which makes them different from other type of cyber attacks. Next is your attack origination point. So it's like, okay, let's suppose, okay, consider your house, right? Yeah, look, I got it. Consider your house is there. Okay. In your house, if a thief has to enter, he can enter from various ways, right? From the roof, terrace, balcony, door, window, in the kitchen. Multiple places are there, right? In order to get inside over there, correct? So attacker or the thief will do what? He will try to go with number of attempts in order to get an entry into your house. Agree? He'll try numerous attempts, correct? To gain entry into your house, isn't it? And let's suppose if we got an entry, if there's a group of thieves, right? Like three or four people are there. So if they got an entry from your kitchen's window, for example, then he will do what? Either he'll be opening the doors and balcony door and rest of the places also for others to get inside there as well, right? So similarly, attack origination point is like first they will do what? These APTs, they will be performing some numerous attempts in order to gain the entry into the target's network. Okay, and the point of entry, which through which they gained access, it can be used, to launch further attacks over there. Okay, so the point to be noted over here is, in order to gain that initial access, your APTs, they need to perform an exhaustive and extensive research in order to identify the vulnerabilities in the target network which they can take an advantage of. Okay, that's your attack origination point. Okay, numbers involved in the attack, it simply means you can say the number of host system which are involved in the attack. So see, as I mentioned, I like if you notice, I oftenly say that APTs, you can say, perform, you can say, by a crime, a group, basically a crime organization, right? It's not a single person doing that particular job. Number of people are involved in that, right? A group or a crime organization is there. So that's why, like, number of hosts which are involved in this attack will be known as the numbers involved in the attack, right? Knowledge source, gathering information, you can say, through certain online sources about some specific threats which can be further exploited in order to carry out those certain attacks, right? It's multi-phased. One of the important characteristics of APT is that they follow the multi-phases in order to execute an attack. Okay, so phases as in the steps. They perform reconnaissance, then they gain the access, right? Reconnaissance, gain access, you can say, right? Then they try to do the discovery, capture, right? Information, and you can say data exfiltration, right? They try to discover also, if you want to put a discoveries part, discover the juicy files and important files into the system. It's so multiple phases are there in terms of performing the attack, which APT follows, right? Tailored to the vulnerability is quite an interesting one. Tailored to the vulnerability means whatever the security measures are used in the target's network. Okay, so the malicious codes which are created by the APTs, okay, they are designed and written in such a way that they will, they'll be targeting the specific vulnerabilities which are present in the victim's network, and it will be exploiting it. So they are made in respect to those vulnerabilities which are in the target or the victim's network. Okay, so they are tailored made, you can say, like, they are made in such a way for those specific purpose only, for those vulnerabilities. Kind of a, zero day can be also part of it. Multiple point of entries, as mentioned over here, pretty much the same. It's like, as I told you before, right? Uh, you know multiple points of entries will be there, like, from various places we can see the malwares are there. Okay, and they help you to maintain the access to the target's network, right? So even if one point of entry is discovered and patched by the security analyst, then these group of attackers, they can use a different entry points. That's why multiple point of entries are there in order to maintain their access, right? Evading signature based detection system. See, actually, like, for example, if I say your antivirus, how do they do scanning? They look out for the signature of the malwares. So malwares, they do have some signature, you can say. And these APT, they create the zero day exploits. They oftenly create that zero day exploits. Zero day exploit is something, guys, which here, let me write it. Zero day exploit means even before a developer or coder knows about it, attacker found a vulnerability in the application. Okay, so there is no patch for that particular vulnerability. There is no release patch for that particular vulnerability. That kind of a thing are known as a zero day exploit. Yes, hello, exactly. That's what I said. For which the vendor hasn't released the patch yet, right? So that's quite something like a something which took them by a surprise and never ever like they thought about it. So that this thing can be exploited in such a way. Log4j was quite the recent one that was also a zero day exploit. So they oftenly go with the zero day exploits that have never been deployed or never seen before. Okay, so that they can easily now bypass the security mechanism like your firewalls, antivirus, IDS, IPS, email spam filter, these kind of thing will be evaded, right? Specific warning signs we can say, actually your APT attacks, they are usually impossible to detect, but some of the indication of an attack, you know, can be look out for. Like that will be including like, uh, you know, a lot of activities are being done from a user account, which can be suspicious. Okay, if there is any backdoor presence of a Trojan, okay, in order to maintain access to the network, that is also suspicious. Unusual file transfer or file uploads, unusual database activities, because they are looking out for some interesting files or admin credentials, so they will be trying to look out for the database active like database. If they're trying to exfiltrate the data, they'll try to do some file transfer, they'll try to upload some files as well, right? So these are some warning signs of an APT which can help you in order to detect them as well. So these are some characteristics of them, like they try to look out for various files, file transfer will be there, data exfiltration part of it, right? Various files will be uploaded in order to maintain access, or malwares over there. If they are trying to read and write the database, so that will be part of a database activities or unusual database activities, like a lot of information are being copied, or your database is being accessed or read quite a plenty of time, so that will be part of your unusual database activity. So these are some specific warning signs of an APT.